Hello and welcome to my little Q&A. I asked on my Instagram you guys to send me a heap of questions and I'm not gonna lie, 90% of these are pregnancy related. So I'm just gonna dive in and start with those questions because they're pretty much all to do with pregnancy and birth and baby. So I'm 38 weeks tomorrow. And yeah. Here we go. Did your partner support you well and what would you change during labor? So when I had Layla, my mum and Jake were both in the delivery room with me. Jake slept, I think like maybe 10 of the 12 hours that I was in labor and woke up when it was time to push and was like, right, start pushing. And the look on my face and the midwife's face could have just about killed him. But yeah, he was supportive, but I just think that my mum was just so all over it that he didn't really need to do much. He literally could just sleep because that's it. I held his hand while I was pushing and he helped cut the cord and all of that. But yeah, I think he was supportive, but I think he was a little bit like daunted by the whole birthing thing. Next, do you have any fears surrounding birth? No, I don't have any like fears because one way or another the baby has to come out, so you just have to deal with that. I would ideally not like to have a C-section, but again, the baby has to come out, so that's that. And also I am a little bit scared of having to get an episiotomy, which if you didn't know, that's where they just get some scissors and they just chop so that it doesn't have to stretch so far. So I'd like to not do that either, but yeah, you know, baby has to come out. How long are you planning to stay in hospital if the birth goes well? If everything is like how I gave birth to Layla, I'd probably like to just stay like maybe 1 or 2 nights depending on what time she's born. I stayed with Layla 2 nights. Well, I went into labor. I was in labor the whole of the Friday night and then stayed the Saturday and the Sunday. They tried to send me home on the Sunday. I think, yeah, on the Sunday they tried to send me home, but I just hadn't gotten breastfeeding down pat yet and I wasn't confident enough to go home. So I stayed an extra night, but yeah, this time I think, yeah, maybe just 1 or 2 nights if everything goes all smoothly. How do you personally stay on top of your weight while pregnant or avoid gaining weight? I don't. I literally do not do a single thing to limit my weight at all. I eat whatever I want and I do exactly what I would do when I wasn't pregnant, so I'm not really much help there. Obviously if the midwife had suggested something to me then I would look into that, but yeah, there's nothing that I actually do to restrict or limit anything. What was your first sign or symptom that you thought you were pregnant? As to why you thought you were pregnant? With Layla, I had like little blocked milk ducts around my nipple, and I showed Jake. I was like, what the hell do you think these are? Like, what's wrong with me? And I had taken a pregnancy test and it come back negative, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not pregnant, so I don't know what these are. And then I was still a little bit like hesitant because I was like Googling. I was like, can you take a pregnancy test and be pregnant and it come up negative? And which like Google was like, yeah, you can, like if you're not far enough along. So I was like, okay. And I had just come off the pill, so I was like, oh, maybe it's a side effect that, or you know, whatever. And he went and said to my mum, did you show those things to your mum? Maybe she knows what they are. And mum was like, did you take a pregnancy test? And I was like, yeah, I'm not pregnant. And then it, you know, it just took a little bit to come up on the test. I was 5 weeks before I got a positive pregnancy test with Layla, and I think I took one every, like I would have taken one the first week, then the 3rd week, 4th week, and it didn't come up until I was 5 weeks pregnant. And this time we were trying, so as soon as I was late for my period, I took a test, but I didn't have any symptoms yet. How do you stay so calm and collected with so much going on? I don't. I do, but I don't. I can only manage what I can manage, and yeah, that's that. I definitely have my fair share of meltdowns and breakdowns, but yeah, I think having a partner that I can just talk to when I'm not coping is really helpful. My mum and my stepdad live not too far away from us as well, and they're a really amazing support if I'm ever just feeling like crappy, that I would just be like, right, I'm gonna come and stay at your house, I just need a break. And they will always be like, yeah, cool, what do you want for dinner? So yeah, that's, I think just having support is a big one for that. How are you preparing Layla for the new arrival? Look, we tell her that there's a baby in my tummy, but I don't think that she registers it. She thinks my belly button is called baby. Like, she just thinks, yep, that's what a baby is. So yeah, I think it's gonna catch her a little bit off guard. I think she'll love the baby when she's here, but I don't know. I'm interested to see. I think she might have a little bit of regression with, you know, either sleep or toileting or something, just because I think it's going to be a shock to her little system when there's another baby. But she is definitely a daddy's girl, so I think as long as Jake gives 100% attention to her, that she'll be okay. Any tips for postpartum care? Just take it day by day. Don't set yourself any like goals, I would say, for postpartum, because everyone is different and it's not really worth being, sacrificing your mental health to try and be a certain way after you've just given birth. Just take it how it is. Like, you pretty much are just, you're learning everything, and you have a little person that's learning everything. It's not just going to click straight away. So yeah, I just say being really okay with the chaos is the best way to deal with postpartum. As for the actual like physical care of yourself, the midwives will give you like your little book, and it will have a heap of stuff in it as well. I did find that the doctors, after you've given birth, literally do not care at all. I went to my 6-week checkup and I was like, right, I'm like 6 weeks now, and they were like, yeah, okay, yep, cool. Contraceptive. I was like, yeah, like, they did not check a single thing. They did the little depression, whatever it's called, chart to like measure if they think you have any like postpartum depression, but they like didn't really care. I would probably seek a physio. Is it physio? I think like a women's health physio to check your insides after you've given birth if you feel like something's not right, because yeah, doctors did nothing for me. They were just like, right, on your way, here's a contraceptive, try not to fall pregnant again. Do you take any pregnancy supplements before and during your pregnancy? So I took folic acid when I was trying to fall pregnant with this baby. With Layla, I didn't. I fell pregnant when I was off the pill for 4 days. But yeah. But this time I took folic acid up until I was like 12 or 13 weeks, and that was all I took. I didn't take any prenatal vitamins other than that, because I had really bad that hyperemesis when I was pregnant with Layla, where I vomited literally like between 20 to 40 times a day for like 5.5 months. So I wasn't taking any risks with the supplements this time, that they may have been the cause of why I was feeling so crappy. But yeah. Oh, and I did have an iron infusion in this pregnancy, but in all honesty, I don't think it made a single difference. I didn't get any boosted energy or none of that. It was just, yeah, didn't do anything for me. Your ideal birth. Like I said, I'm pretty open to the fact that the baby just has to come out. So I'm not that fussed with exactly how birth goes. I would love to have a water birth, but if you have a water birth, you can't have an epidural. I had an epidural with Layla. I didn't actually ask for it. I was having the gas, and I just wasn't dilating or anything, and her cord was stuck underneath her head. So every time I had a contraction, it contracted on the cord and made her oxygen levels drop, and then they were panicking. So they were like, okay, we're probably gonna have to give you a C-section so you can have the epidural and you'll be awake, so that if you have a C-section, you'll be able to see her straight after. But if you don't have the epidural and we need to do this emergency C-section, you're gonna be under and you won't wake up until a bit later. So I just did the epidural. But this time once again, if it has to happen, it has to happen. But I would definitely try to at least get in the bath this time. A water birth would be beautiful if I could do that and just have the gas. But yeah. How long did you wait to have sex after having Layla? So I was terrified. I was like, nope, it's gonna break. It's sore. Like, don't, nope, nope. Just no, it's off limits forever. But Jake worked away FIFO work from like when Layla was 4 weeks old. So we waited the full, it was like maybe just under 8 weeks or just over 8 weeks before we had sex. Wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but definitely was not a good experience. I would just say, like, just wait like the 6 weeks minimum and see how you're feeling, because it's just a lot. So yeah, there's your answer there. Another one was like, can you tell us what it's like with the nitty gritty of postpartum and birth? The first poo afterwards seems so scary. Look, I was probably more scared to go to the bathroom after I had Layla than I was to actually give birth to Layla. Not gonna lie. It took me a week, a full week to go to the bathroom, and I think it was like an hour-long process of me just sitting there being like, nope, my inside's gonna fall out. Nope, can't do it, inside's gonna fall out. And I had everything under the sun that they had recommended to help, and yeah. Look, I would honestly say that I was more scared of that than I was of giving birth. Just take like your stool softeners, have your Metamucil every day before you give birth, because yeah, that's a lot. That was hard. All right, were you scared about becoming a mum when you were about to have Layla? I just had like a coughing fit, so I'm sorry, my eyes are like watering now. No, I was not at all. I had literally not a doubt in my mind when I was gonna have her. I was so ready for her to be out of my stomach and into my arms. I was just, yeah. I really wanted to be a mum, and I was very excited to become a mum, and it was literally everything that I have ever wanted. So I did not have any doubts, or I wasn't really scared. I think I'm more scared this time because I don't want to let Layla down or her ever feel like she's missing out on anything because there's another baby. So I'd say I'm more scared like this time in that aspect of becoming a mum of 2 than I was of becoming a mum for the first time. What is your due date? I'm due on the 14th of July, so 38 weeks tomorrow. 2 more weeks to go. I am also booked in for an induction, so that Jake will be home for the birth. We'll be home long enough after the birth because he's a FIFO worker. So yeah, maximum I will be pregnant for another 2 weeks and maybe a couple days depending on how long an induction takes. Any more kids after this, Bob? Yeah, look, probably. Not gonna lie, I would love to have more children. I first up said I want 4, but we'll see how we go with 2, and we're definitely gonna have a bit of an age gap between this next one and if we decide to have another one down the track, if we're lucky enough to fall pregnant again. So yeah, see how we go with 2, then yeah, maybe how we go 3. Otherwise, I have always really loved the idea of doing foster care. So if we were in the position to be able to do that, and just have 2 children of our own and look down the foster care path, I would definitely be interested in that. It's something that I've looked into a lot. So yeah. All right, a few little questions to end it off that are nothing to do with pregnancy or birth. First one is a bit of an Instagram question, and how did I start up doing sponsored posts and collaborating with brands? I've touched on this lightly on my Instagram, but pretty much I didn't start working with brands until I had around 8,000 followers, and getting actually like paid or product for posting. I started off strictly on just a gifting basis, that they would give me a product and I would do a post for them. I don't even think stories were a thing back then, so it was just you'd post a photo for them and that was it, and I honestly had no idea what I was doing at all. But you grow from that. I obviously wasn't getting any money from it, so it wasn't that big of a like thing that I didn't know what I was doing. Now I know that you can definitely work with brands with a much smaller following, and it's all about the content that you create. So you could be working with brands on a gifting basis just to provide good content for them, getting good quality photos that they can then use on their social media platforms as well. You can work with brands without even having to post on your own personal like page. You can just be getting photos for them. So I think there's a lot more options there now. As for me, working with brands now is brands 90% of the time will reach out to me, and then I will check out their page, check out if I'm interested in working with them, what products they've got, if it would benefit myself, it would benefit them, if it would benefit like the people that follow me, and then decide whether I want to work with them from there. Then I'd move on and say like yes, no. I send through my media kit and my rates card and ask them like, what do you think? What's your thoughts? Do you have a concept idea? And they'll be like, yep, we want you to create a reel and an Instagram story. So then I go ahead, get the product, create it, send it back to them, get approval if they want any tweaks, changes, anything like that. And then yeah, schedule it in to be posted. This is the busiest I've ever been with social media. Yeah, it's actually been really good, but it's busy. It's a lot more work than I think people think goes into it. But yeah, I think that answers. All right, a few Jake questions. What roster is he? He works 2 weeks away and 1 week home. But since the world has been a little bit crazy, it has been a little bit all over the shop. If you've been here for a little bit, in July last year, I moved over to Western Australia into Perth, which is, he works in Karratha, which is, well, a bit out of Karratha, but it's like 2 hours plane ride from Perth. I moved over to Perth so that we stopped getting stopped by restrictions. And then we moved back to the Sunshine Coast in January this year when we bought our house. And yeah, so it's meant to be 2 weeks on, 1 week off, but it has been literally like all over the shop, like 5 weeks on, 2 weeks off, 5 weeks off, 3 weeks on. Like, it's been crazy. And Jake plan to get married in the future. Yeah, look, one day. I always say every time someone says one day, it means never, but one day. I'm not really that fussed on it being something that needs to happen like quickly. We are quite young. I'm 22, Jake is 27. We've got a house, we've got, well, about to have two children. And yeah, I don't think it's something that we need to really rush into. We love each other and it can be something that happens in the future and something to look forward to. I've always said I'd love to get engaged, but I probably wouldn't be that fussed on getting married for like another like 5-6 years. Yeah, I don't know, if he wants to. Ball's in his court. What's the longest time me and Jake have been apart? Like I said, when I moved to Perth last year, before I moved there, that was when the restrictions were really crazy, and we just went for just over 4 months, maybe 4.5 months of not seeing each other. That was pretty hectic, and he missed Easter, he missed Christmas, he missed Easter, he missed Layla's first birthday, my first Mother's Day. Yeah, it was probably the toughest time that I've had. I was not doing very well mentally, being away from him for that long, and missing out on so many important events. So that's why we made the decision to move there. And I literally was on the phone like crying, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know. I just don't know. I was so over it and so overwhelmed. And then I was like, nope, you know what? Stuff it. Like, you can't miss out on your daughter's entire life because you work away. We'll just move to Perth. And the restrictions were closing down things everywhere and changing so quickly and frequently that we had to make a decision right then and there. And I think we decided on like the Tuesday that I was going to move, and I flew out the following Monday. So I had like a week to pack up my entire life and fit it in suitcases and fly to Perth and find a house, and that was it. That was the longest we've been apart, and that was probably the most stressful time in my entire life. Okay, the last questions is, how do you have so much time? I have my son in kindy 2 days a week and can't seem to get on top of it. And there's, how do you manage and cope with FIFO life and young children? What's your strategies and routines? These questions sort of go like hand in hand with each other. I use routines to make sure that I can get everything done. Layla goes to daycare on a Tuesday and a Thursday, so she is there 2 days a week, and I have the day to myself. Like I said, I do quite a bit of Instagram stuff, so I will usually schedule one day that's just purely to creating content, editing, all of that jazz. And I usually stay on top of cleaning and stuff when I've got Layla. She's a really good help, and I think toddlers especially are definitely underestimated, that they are a lot more capable than we give them credit for. I can give Layla like the clothes and be like, can you go put them in the washing basket? If I'm wiping down something, I'll give her a cloth and be like, you can help me, and she will help. I think it's just about giving her jobs as well really helps me get stuff done. And I'm a typical Virgo, that everything is routines, everything is planned. Sorry about that. Everything is planned and needs to be like done a certain way. I feel very overwhelmed when my spaces aren't clean, and it just clutters my head. So pretty much I'll be cleaning every single day. I have the time to myself when Layla's at daycare that I will do my Instagram stuff and my content and all of that, emails and whatnot. And I try and do the cleaning and stuff when Layla's actually home. And I really optimize her sleep time, even though sometimes optimizing her sleep time is me sitting on the couch eating snacks. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. But yeah, definitely get some routines in place and don't be unrealistic with them. I have a blog that is called like Our FIFO Lifestyle, and it's got like the post is called Our FIFO Lifestyle, and it's got all my routines and my cleaning routines and all of that on there. I think once you have gotten on top of it, it's not so hard to manage. But yeah, that would be my answer to that. I think that's pretty much all of your questions. I think I got them all. So yeah, that's the end of this little Q&A. Thank you.